going to check the line because you listen the evaluation. Well, it's the first presentation.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Zoya Evans Palmer from Ghana, United Technical University. I'm an architect and I'm presenting on behalf of 3 other authors from IGLC on the topic strategic considerations for applying choosing by advantages in design process. I'll basically go through the background theory, methodology, results, and conclusions. Undoubtedly, design has some impact as far as the value delivery chain of construction is concerned. And it has been established that value delivered in construction is generated at design stage. And for that matter, to have value generated in design, we need to explore collaborative decision making. And from theory, CBA has established as a possible collaborative decision-making system in design. However, little attention has been paid to operationalizing CBA across the entire spectrum of design process, and that is what we sought to look at. By way of theory, CBA basically involves making decisions based on advantages of alternatives. And in going through that, we must first establish the attributes of the alternatives. Based on that, you come up with the advantages, and then you assign weights to the advantages as importance. In going through that process, it is seen to be participative, creates a transparent atmosphere, and then it makes decisions auditable. Now, in looking at applying CBA across design process, we considered some theory on design process management, and particularly we looked at the theory of decision framing across design process management. So that if you are looking at applying CBA in design process, you are looking at across the entire spectrum of design process, you identify certain critical decision frames, which becomes the basis to apply CBA. And this theory aligns with the group decision support methodology as proposed by Green, which involves coming out with a series of decision sections across design process. Now, this work is based on some learning from 3 case applications of CBA on some selected projects in Ghana. The first involved the application of CBA to decide on a conceptual decision regarding the choice of the direction of expansion for our operating theater in Ghana. The second one was the application of CBA to decide on window opening systems for a lecture room project, and the third was decision on a ceiling finish for a lecture theater in Ghana. Across the 3 case studies, we employed the tools of participant observation, direct observation, and interview, because one of the authors was an active participant across all the 3 case studies. Now, what emerged as lessons from the case studies was that the CBA process, particularly compared to other decision systems, is quite simple to follow. There's clarity regarding the kind of decisions that has to be taken, and for that matter, it makes the process allow for active participation of all stakeholders. Again, one of the things that was observed was the fact that it is quite challenging sometimes to establish explicit attributes of alternatives, which is a critical basis for CBA, because if you get the attributes wrong, that may affect the kind of advantages you are coming up with, and that would potentially affect the final decision. Particularly where you have an attribute that has to be described rather than one that is quantitatively stated, it becomes quite challenging. And for that matter, we realize that it tends to affect, particularly at the stage of deciding on the importance of advantages. Consensus building is affected when you don't have attributes well described and then advantages clear. That notwithstanding, across the 3 case studies, it was realized that throughout the process, it gives an opportunity for conversation for all stakeholders to realize their respective values, interests and needs. And it was based on these experiences that we came out with some proposals as considerations if we have to apply CBA across the entire spectrum of design. And the first experience or lesson was that you need to have a very critical consideration of the pre-design activity, which is the point or the stage where user requirements and user needs as well as project values are established, so that at the point of particularly deciding on the importance of advantages, if you have a clearly defined user requirement or project requirement and need, that goes a long way to form a foundation for you to decide on the advantages. And as a group process, we also realize that before the process takes off in design process, there's a need for you to create some kind of stimulation of shared mental modeling, so that based on that, participants will get to know each other very well, get to know each other's strengths, experiences, so that during the process of conversation and decision making, consensus will be enhanced. Decision framing is very critical, as I mentioned. The design process is fraught with several decisions, and for that matter, it is always critical if you have to apply CBA across the entire spectrum of design process to identify certain critical decisions, which should be linked to your pre-design activities where you establish the value. So that you identify which critical decisions have a bearing on the value established during the pre-design stage. Then the use of boundary objects is also very critical, particularly when you are describing attributes. If you are bringing together professionals and users and other stakeholders, you may talk about the attributes of a particular alternative, but to create a shared understanding, you have to employ boundary objects, and this is where we can also talk about synergy between lean and BIM, because if you are talking about boundary objects, we are also basically looking about the use of animation simulations. So that, for instance, if you are talking about the attribute of a particular window system, you can use BIM and then simulations to explain that better. We also found out that, CBA can benefit from the synergy of other lean tools, particularly TVD, set-based design, and A3. So that if you are looking at the application of TVD, for instance, where right from the word go, you have a clear definition of the value and the budget of the project. CBA can benefit from that, particularly if you begin to do money decision analysis. Once an initial budget and value has been determined, that goes a long way to help in the process. Across all this, we identified the critical role of a facilitator. You may have a design team, but beyond the design team, if you have to apply CBA across the entire spectrum of design process, apart from members of the design team, you need a facilitator who will go through the process of training stakeholders on the CBA application process and doing some research, particularly to come up with the attributes of various alternatives that might have been generated. So these are some proposals as far as operationalizing CBA across the entire spectrum of design is concerned. By way of conclusion, CBA still remains emergent in terms of practice and research in BIM. And we believe that from the findings of these case studies, it should provide some empirical data and some guide towards the practical operationalization of CBA across the entire spectrum of design process. We go ahead to recommend further validations of these proposals in further cases. Thank you very much.